So today we'll be talking about the glories of the holy name, and we'll read from Bhagavad Gita 10.25. So this is from chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, shloka number 25. So I'll say the shloka, you can repeat after me. Maharshinam Bhraguraham Giram Asmya Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayagnosmi Stavaranam Himalayah Maharshinam Bhraguraham Giram Asmya Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayagnosmi Stavaranam Himalayah Maharshinam Bhraguraham Giram Asmya Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayagnosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. Anybody like to read it?
Maharshinam Bhraguraham Giramassekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayagyosmi Stavaranam Himalaya.
Any Mataji want to read?
Maharshinam
Bhraguraham
Giram Ashma Ekam Aksharam
Yajnanam Japayagyosmi Stavaranam Himalaya.
Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy name, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. So we'll see the purport what Srila Prabhupada, how he explains this shloka. Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several suns for the propagation of various kinds of species. Among these suns, Bhrigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibration, Om or Omkara represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and the purest. Whatever is sublime in the world is a representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas, the greatest mountain in the world, also represent him. The mountain named Meru was mentioned in previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable, whereas Himalayas are never movable. Thus, the Himalayas are greater than Meru. So this is a shloka where Krishna is telling about his opulences to Arjuna. So we'll see a little background of the shloka. This is the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. When we see when the Bhagavad Gita starts, Arjuna is in a very different state of mind, and he has a lot of questions with whatever Krishna is explaining. He has more questions to ask because he's a little confused. But when the 10th chapter comes, he is very clear about who Krishna is, what his position is. And we see that in the 10th chapter, in verse 12, Arjuna, So Arjuna here kind of makes a declaration. What does he say? At this point he's saying, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. He's saying that you are the supreme personality of Godhead. He has accepted now that there is no one supreme than him. He's the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental origin person, the unborn, the greatest. And he not only this, he also says, it is not just me saying this. I have heard this from great sages like Narada, Devala, Vyasa, and now you yourself are telling me. So he's in a state where he's in awe with the supreme personality of Godhead standing right in front of him. And he's asking him, please tell me more about yourself. How do I remember you all the time? How can everybody see you everywhere? And that is where Krishna starts telling him about his opulences. He says it is unlimited. I mean, we are talking about this material world that we think is so vast. And he says in Bhagavad Gita that this is just a small portion of his abode, or the material world is just a small portion of his expansions. So he starts telling him in this chapter, he tells around 82 opulences. We are not going to cover all of them, but some of them we'll see to understand what he's trying to tell in the 25th shloka. So he says, he classifies certain categories where he tells how in a particular category of being or places, how he is the supreme most. So when we talk about our senses, we have 5 senses. You talk about your eyes, it's easy to control our eyes. We say, okay, can you close your eyes for 5 minutes? You'll be able to close it. Or can you stop, don't smell anything, or don't, walk anywhere. It is easy for us to control at least a little bit of those 5 senses. But the 6th sense, the mind, it is the hardest to control. If I tell you sit down for 5 minutes and don't think about anything, I mean 5 minutes is a very long time. I think we won't be able to do it for 20 seconds also. So he says that among the 6 senses, he's the mind, the most strongest of all. Then he says among the water bodies, he's the ocean. We see the ocean, there are so many rivers are pouring, but there's never a flood in the ocean. The water never comes out. Or there is so much evaporation happening in the ocean, but it never dries out. So it is such a magnificent water body. He said among all the water bodies he's the ocean. Then he talks about another class of people, the sages. He says he's the Narad Muni. Narad Muni, we know of all the great devotees, he's the spiritual master, whether it's Prahlad, whether it's Maharaj Dhruv, or whether it's Vyasdev. He's the spiritual master of all those great devotees. So he says, among those sages, I am Narad Muni. Among the demons, he says, I am Prahlad. Now, Prahlad is one such Mahajan, one such devotee, for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead took an incarnation, and that too not a regular incarnation. It was a very unfamiliar and never seen kind of incarnation just for that one devotee. So he says among all the demons that he is Prahlad Maharaj. Then he talks about class of elephants. He said he's Airavat. Among the dispensers of law, he says he's Yama. Among the birds, he's Garuda. So in this way, he's telling that how among those class of peoples, the most supreme and the most magnificent, that is what he is, and that is how we remember him. He says among the Rudras, he's the Shiva. Among the Vedas, he's Samved. And then he comes to sacrifice. Among all the sacrifices, all the yagyas, he's chanting of the holy names. Now, when we talk about sacrifices, we have heard about so many sacrifices that is explained in the Vedas, in different scriptures. And when we think of sacrifice, sometimes we also think about fire and the oblations we put in it. So we'll try to understand what is a sacrifice, what is this class of things that Krishna is talking about, in which the chanting of the holy name, he's saying that is what he is, that is the supreme. So in the 3rd chapter, when he's talking about karma yoga, about our duties, how should we do it? He says, Yagnarthat karmano anyatra, loko ayam karma bandhana, tat artham karma kaunteya, mukta sangha samachara. Work done as sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. and in this way you will always remain free from bondage. So sacrifice is something that kindles a fire of selflessness in us. Whatever we do in our usual work, we usually do it for ourselves or our family or whatever is mine. But when we do it in the feeling of yajna, we are offering everything to that Supreme Lord, to Vishnu. And then we accept those things. That is what yajna is. So in the Vedas also it is described, we know we have the three lords in this material world, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. And Vishnu is the one who is the sustainer of this material world. So in Yajurveda they say, what is yajna? Yajna is Vishnu. Yajna vai Vishnu. And then Srimad Bhagavatam also says that Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yayanti. We should perform worship through the yagna of Sankirtan. So through the different yagnas that we see in, like Krishna is described in the 4th chapter also, he talks about how the yogis do, how they offer, there is a yagna where we give charities, that what the householders usually do, or we perform various kind of fire sacrifices where we offer oblations to please some demigod or some devata. So these are different yagna, but also in this is the Sankirtan yagna. If only there is a fire, then that is not a full expression of yagna. The real fire of yagna is not a fire that burns visibly, it is a fire that burns our karma, and through that heavenly feelings arise within us. So we see so many types of yajnas are there, and at this point of time we most of the time get confused, should we do this, should we do this kind of sacrifice or that. And whenever we hear something we want to try it, somebody will tell us. So how do we find out what is the best form of yajna for us, especially in this age when we don't have any time and we don't have too much knowledge about it also. So what would be that thing that we should be doing? So when you talk about yajna as Vishnu and he's saying japa yajna is what we should be doing. So then the easiest thing to is, oh, there is Vishnu Sahasranam. If I have to take the names of the Lord, maybe I should sit down and do Vishnu Sahasranam and 1,000 names of Vishnu, and that would be the japa yajna. Yes, it would be the japa yajna. When I was introduced to Vishnu Sahasranam, one of my friends called me to her house where they were doing, a few people had gathered together to do it. I was so impressed. It was such a nice feeling just hearing those chanting. So I thought maybe I should go and try it. So I looked up on YouTube, and of course it's 30-minute longs, and they chant really fast. It's so hard to catch up. The Sanskrit is so tongue twisting. So I tried to chant, and then finally I gave up. I'm like, it's really difficult to chant. All those 1,000 names with all the Sanskrit in it. So in the Padma Purana, it seems there is a similar thing where we just saw how the japa is the best, and there is a conversation that is happening between Shiva and Parvati. And Parvati is asking that what is the best way for the humans in Kali Yuga to get rid of their sins, and which one would be the best method to absolve them of sins. So Shiva tells him about the Vishnu Sahasranam. He tells him the whole Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, and then he says that Vishnu Sahasranam is the only remedy for people to get rid of their worldly sins and troubles. Now when Parvati heard that, and she's the mother, and mother gets really worried about the children, especially the spoiled ones. So she knows that in Kali Yuga, they are the most spoiled class of human beings that will be here with very less time and very, busy in their own things. So she said she was very concerned that how can an ordinary person, chant such, difficult names and still be able to, find the time to do it. So she asked Lord Shiva, Keno Pain Lakuna Vishnur Sahasrakam Patiyet Panditair Nityam Shrotum Ichayam Prabhu. So she's asking for a Lakhu Upai, Keno Lakhuna Upai, for chanting this Vishnu Sahasranam. I am desirous to know, O Lord, how will the scholars of this world chant without fail these 1,000 names by a method that is easy and good. So she's asking, she's being our advocate and asking, please give us a shortcut. So does anyone know what the Lord Shiva replied? Has anybody heard the Vishnu Sahasranam? No? Okay. So we'll see what he says. Ishwaram vacha Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Manoranane. So he's saying Sahasranama Tatulyam Ramanam. He says 1,000 name of Vishnu just by chanting one name of Ram. You get the benefit of chanting the whole 1,000 Vishnu Sahasranam. So imagine you are sitting like a person like me sitting trying to read 1,000 Sanskrit names, which in YouTube where they are speaking so fast, they are doing it 30 minutes probably. If I sit and do, probably it'll take 2 hours. See, you just say the Ram, the name of Ram, and you get the same benefit. And he's just said that 1,000 chanting Vishnu Sahasranam is the way to absolve yourself of your sins. And here he's saying, oh, you, in spite of that, you can just say Ram. So he says that 1,000 name, just say Ram. In the same place, Padma Puran in a different chapter, Shatnam Sutra, it is said, Vishnur ekaikam namapi sarva vedadikam matam tadrat nama sahasrena ramanam samam smritam. Chanting one name of Vishnu gives more benefit than studying all Vedas. We all want to know what is in our Veda. Veda is something, it is a manual that the Lord gave us on how to, operate in this material world, where we are also engaged in our material activity, but we are not doing any sinful activities. But obviously now people are not able to engage in the Vedas. So he's saying just chanting one name of Vishnu is giving us the same benefit, in fact more benefit than studying all the Vedas. But then he says, one name of Ram is equal to 1,000 names, Sahasranam Vishnu. So it is such a powerful name, that just one name of Ram. So here what do we finally conclude? That one name of Ram is equal to 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. Now what about Krishna? We hear Krishna just now said he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Ram's name is 1,000 Vishnu names. So in Brahmanda Purana, Anantashesha says, Sahasranam Nama Punyanam Tri Avritya Tu Yat Phalam Eka Vritya Tu Krishnasya Namaikam Tat Prayachati. If one utters Shri Krishna's name once, one obtains the same result that comes from chanting the pure Vishnu Sahasranam 3 times. Imagine chanting Vishnu Sahasranam 3 times and you just say Krishna. Can you say Krishna?
Krishna.
You just chanted Vishnu Sahasranam 3 times. That is the power of the holy name. And that is why he's saying, among all the yagnas, I am chanting of the holy names. Now if you have been here, you have heard about the Maha Mantra, right? Everybody has anybody not heard about the Maha Mantra? You have been chanting in the Kirtan. You haven't heard. So the Maha Mantra is, can you all chant?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So we just saw one name of Ram is equal to 1,000 Vishnu Sahasranam. We need facts, right? We don't believe in today's age on anything. One name of Krishna is 3,000 names of Vishnu. It's 3 Vishnu Sahasranam. And then comes the Maha Mantra. How many Krishnas are there? How many? 4. How many Rams? 1. So who's good in maths? Who can tell me how many names of Vishnu we chant in one Maha Mantra? How much? 16,000. So 4,000, 4 times 1,000, sorry, it should be 3,000. So 4, okay. It should be 3,000, 3 4 12 and 16. So 16,000 name of Vishnu we speak just by chanting one time the Maha Mantra. And that is why in this age it is called the Maha Mantra, because The result you get by chanting just one Maha Mantra is so much. I mean, just saying the name of Vishnu is more than studying the Vedas, and we are talking about the Sahasranam, and that to 16,000 names of Vishnu you are speaking just by chanting the Vishnu Sahasranam. That is the power of the Maha Mantra. You know, there is in India right now, there's a huge event going on. What is does anyone know? Mahakumbh going on, everybody is going for the Amrit Snan, there are reels coming. You know, what happens when you do the Kumbh Snan at this time? All the sins they say get washed off, and you get eligible to be liberated. But you go there, you can wash off your sins, but you come back and you start doing the same thing. Then you the cycle keeps going on, right? So I'm not saying it is not, it is very powerful, even it is a very powerful, but it's not possible for everyone to go, especially if we are here, if anybody wants to go, it's so much of planning, buying tickets, making arrangements. And that too, once you reach Prayag, it's not that you reach Sangam, I think you have to park your car miles away at 3 o'clock, people are walking miles to go to take a bath. So it's not easy. So I would like to share a pastime during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, and this is a pastime of Kali Yuga 500 years ago. So there was this very famous Brahmana, Subhuti Raya. He was very scholarly and he was known for his scholarly abilities. And he had a person serving him who was a Muslim boy. And once he gave him task of digging the water tank. But he did some big mistake there, and as it used to be during this time, his master, the Brahmana, he whipped him. So after some time passed by, in some years, that Muslim boy became the king of that place. His name was Hussein Khan. And one time when he was with his queen, the queen saw those marks, the whipping marks on his back. So she was very upset. She was like, he's the king, who dared to whip him? How did he get this whipping? So she goes and asks him, what happened? How did he get this mark? So he told her that, I used to work for a Brahmana, and he was my spiritual master, and he asked me to do something, I made a mistake, so as a punishment he whipped me. So the queen got very upset, said, now you are the king, you should punish him back. He said, no, he was a very nice person and he treated me like his own son. He was a fatherly figure to me, and I cannot kill him. So she was very insistent. Then she said, okay, if you can't kill him, then at least, get him outcasted somehow, Then he said, no, I can't do that because it's equal to killing him. But then the queen was very relentless and she said, no, you have to punish him. So finally the king gives way and he calls Subhuti Raya at his palace. And during those times, it was very easy for people to, fall down from their caste. If you ate something that was cooked by a Muslim or a different caste, or you drank water that was at their house, you would be outcasted, like you are no longer a Brahmana. So he called him and he gave him water to drink. Now when, of course, people came to know that he drank water there and they were outcasted him, you can't stay here, you are no longer a Brahmana, and he was very upset and he moved and he went from that place and he went to some Brahmanas and he asked them, what is the atonement for this? How can I gain back my previous position? So the Brahmanas, they are like, it's not easy, they never an easy atonement for it. Some Brahmanas said, you have to drink molten iron. And he was thinking, how can I do that? And the other one said, no, you don't have to drink molten iron, you have to drink molten ghee. Then you'll be atoned. He said, if I eat molten ghee, I'll die. He said, yes, that is the point. You lose this contaminated body, and the new body that you will get, then you will be eligible to become a Brahmana again. And then there was another Brahmana, he came and said, no, that is too much of a punishment for, this thing. So there was no unanimity on what to do. So then he finally moved from there also, and by his great fortune, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you don't know, he's the Yuga avatar of Kali Yuga, this Kali Yuga. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who came to give the Yuga Dharma for this yuga. So he went there and he met him and he told him about his story that this happened. And he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what should I do for atonement? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and said, just chant Hare Krishna. So that is the power of that mantra in this yuga. In Srimad Bhagavatam, if you go to 12th canto, Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj about what is going to come in Kali Yuga. Parikshit Maharaj at that time was the end of Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga was coming, it was almost there. And Shukdev Goswami is giving a real picture of how things are going to be. And it's like, if you read the Bhagavatam and the 12th canto, you will actually see those things happening now, all of them. So when he tells about all this, he, in the end he says, Kalir dosho nidhe rajan astya hi eko mahan guna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha praparam prajet. He says, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So just chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Earlier it used to be so difficult. I mean, we just saw in the story, this real thing that happened where they were telling him to drink molten or whatever, In the scriptures also there for atonement, for prayashchit, there are like very severe things that people had to do. Even to go back to, getting liberating, going back to Godhead. Just that the amount of work they had to do at that time, Kali Yuga, it's become so, they have made it so easy for us. So just by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, you can get liberated and go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, every yuga has its own dharma. So we see in the same canto, Shukdev Goswami says, Kritayadhyayato Vishnum Tretayam Yajato Makhai Vapare Paricharyayam Kalau Tat Hare Kirtanat. Whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, in Dwapar Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when we talk about Satyuga, people used to live for thousands of years and everything, we think it was like so good at that time. But to reach the Supreme Personality of God, to go to the transcendental abode, to get liberation, the Yuga Dharma at that time was meditation. You need to meditate for thousands of years, and that is when you would, finally get some form of liberation. In Treta Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was performing sacrifices. There were fire sacrifices. In Dwapar Yuga, temple worship. But Kali Yuga, just by chanting the holy name, that is the Yuga Dharma. So if you meditate in this Yuga, it is not the Yuga Dharma. So you won't get the fruit of, actually reaching the Supreme Abode. You might feel good because when you meditate, when you sit down and calm your mind, you feel really good. But that is not the bliss of Satchitanand. It is like a temporary relief you get from the anxiety. So because for this Yuga, the prescribed thing that you are supposed to do is the chanting of the holy name. We see even like if you see during Sat Yuga also, there we have the example of Vishwamitra who meditated for 10,000 years, and it was such a severe meditation that even Indra got scared that he's going to take my throne, and he sends Menaka to disturb his meditation, and it was very successfully done by Menaka. So even after 10,000 years of meditation, that one small mistake kind of took away all his efforts. But in Kali Yuga we have the example of Haridas Thakur who was chanting the holy name, and even when Maya Devi herself took a beautiful form and tried to disturb him, to test him, he was not at all disturbed. That is the power of the holy name. So here if we see in Namashtakam, it is said, Yad Brahma Sakshat Kriti Nishtayapi Vinashamayati Vinanavoge. O holy name, the Vedas declare that although meditation on impersonal Brahman cannot bring freedom from past karma, your appearance on the tongue of your chanter at once disappears. So it's such an easy way, and you get rid of all your karma. You don't have to buy tickets, go to Mahakumbh, take a dip. Just chanting the holy name, taking the mantra snana of holy name can do that for you. It is not just that, we see in the Kali Santanara Upanishad also. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shodishakam Namnam Kali Karmashanashanam Nata Parataropeya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. What does Lord Brahma say? The 16 words, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, are specially meant for completely destroying all contamination of Kali. To save oneself from the contamination of Kali Yuga, there is no alternative in all the Vedas except the chanting of the 16-word mantra. So this mantra is given, has been prescribed in different Vedas through different forms, and it has been said that there is no other way of actually getting liberation and going back to Godhead than by chanting this Mahamantra. Again in Brihad Naradiya Purana also it is mentioned, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatiranyatha. 3 times he is saying it is no other way, no other way, no other way than chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that is the power of Mahamantra. That is how strong that simple method it is that has been given to us through the Parampara. Not only that, in the Nand Samhita also it is mentioned, Shodashatani Namani Dvakrimshad Varnakani Kalau Yuge Mahamantra Sammato Jivatarani. This mantra, comprising of 16 words of 32 syllables, is known as the Mahamantra in Kali Yuga and is also as the only capable means through which the living entities can be delivered in the Kali Yuga. So in this Kali Yuga, there is all the scriptures, all the holy men and all the parampara that we see, the 4 paramparas, they all prescribe in this age. This is the only way that you can get out of the contamination of the Kali Yuga. Now, I like to conclude here by just making you think about how we are here. It is said there are 84 lakh species in this whole universe, and we have been taken birth in different species. Sometimes we have been mosquitoes, sometimes we have been cats, we have been dogs, we have been tiger, sometimes fishes and all. So many species we have gone through, and sometimes we have also gone through the same species again and again and again. It is said that it is very, very rare for a soul to get a human birth. First, you have to go through all these species. In the end, you get the human life, and then in that different species also you could be taking birth again. But you have got that human life. And if you see the population of the world right now, in so many billions of people, only very few would be actually interested in liberation, in understanding the higher knowledge. Most of us are busy eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That is where the whole cycle, they spend their whole life, and they will not even come to know that there is something higher. But in all that, getting a human life, being here and hearing about the holy name, it is very, very rare. In fact, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasad Paya Bhakti Lata Beej. It's not just this small planetary system. In the whole Brahmanda, we as a soul, we have been going from one planet to another planet to another planet, and these souls would just keep going in rotation, and very few of them will be able to get this Bhakti Lata Beej, this Mahamantra. And when we talk about the Mahamantra, we know there is a cycle of Satyug, Dwapar Yug, Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Kali Yug, and then again we go to Satyug. So this cycle keeps going on, And when these cycles happen for 1000 times, once in 1000 Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and give us the Maha Mantra. So, in fact, how fortunate we are to get a human birth, being interested in higher knowledge, and being born in the same Kali Yuga that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and gave the Maha Mantra and said that just by chanting this you can go back to Godhead. That is the glory of this Maha Mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra, where just by chanting it, we can, just end this cycle of misery, of this anxiety. So can we all chant the Hare Krishna mantra together one time?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Anyone has any questions?
Mataji, could you please explain why we hands up while chanting the Hare Krishna?
Yes. So once Srila Prabhupada was asked, like, how many times do I have to chant and how long will it take for me to get liberated? And he said, just 1 second. Just 1 second. If we chant the Hare Krishna with Maha Mantra, with a pure heart, with a surrendered heart, we surrender ourselves to the Supreme Lord and chant, it will just take 1 second for us to go. But the sadhana takes us, sadhana is where we are bringing us to that point of surrender. So when we see a small child will go to a mom, if he wants to be picked up, what will he do? You want to say like this, right? So it is very difficult for us to reach the Supreme Lord by our own effort. We cannot go. We are raising our hands and surrendering ourselves and praying to the Lord, you please pick us up, because it is not possible for me to come there. So it is only through the grace of Krishna, only through His mercy, that we can go back to God and go back to Him when He picks us up. So with that surrender state, like a child, we raise our hands and call out to the Lord.
Thank
That's
you.
what I've heard from my seniors.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So we heard, as in the Bhagavad Gita shlokas, so Krishna says of the Vedas and the Samaveda, and he's one among, he's probably the best of different options. So how do we understand this? Because Krishna, we understand that he's in everything. But when Krishna says he is the best among certain, he's like Shiva among the Rudras, then how do we understand that?
Yes, because Krishna is everywhere. In the Paramatma form, he is in every even in a minute particle, he is there. But like when I said in the beginning, it is, he says you are the supreme, So there are Ishwaras. We are Ishwaras at different level. Ishwara is what? The controllers, right? At my level, I am a controller of certain things. What happens, in my family, or there are certain decisions I make. So I'm a small controller. Then you go up, there are bigger controllers. There is, if you see a city administrator, he controls the whole city. So he has bigger control. But he is also at some level a controller. But then there is bigger controller. The president is a bigger controller. He's controlling the whole nation. Then there is a planet. The planet is controlled by certain deities. The Brahman is controlled. Then you go to the three, the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. They are the controllers of the whole system. So there are different levels of controllers. But who's the supreme? When you keep going up and up and up, we keep going back to Vishnu. Where is Mahavishnu coming from? Where is Sankarshan coming from? Where is the Chaturvyuha coming from? Different expansion. At the end is called Govindam Adipurusham. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. That supreme controller is Krishna. Right? So although yes, Krishna in his Paramatma form is present in each soul, in each particle, but then he says there is a level of controllers. So everything that is the best is Krishna. That's how you see, how you remember it. Ultimately, everything has come from him. But then there are levels.
Mataji, I had two questions, Mataji. So first one is, in one of the slides you have mentioned that this chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will burn our karma. Like, I think one point has come in the statement. So I just wanted to understand how the chanting of Maha Mantra will burn our like previous whatever with the good karma and bad karma, and how it will promote us to the transcendental platform. That's the one question. And the second question is this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has this like full of potence, like how we receive it, how we chant, like then we will get the reciprocation out of like how much effort, like how sincerely we chant. So how can we chant this Maha Mantra in such a way that like in a purest form, to put it in a simple way. Yeah, because this is the whole purpose, like chanting of, that is the first thing that we have to do. So how we can do in such a way that we can receive most out of it by chanting.
So the first question is like how does it burn the karma and how do we understand that? So we all have bank accounts, right?
Yes,
And how much we put in is the balance.
like out of our expenditures, how
Yes,
much is the
there is
remaining?
always a balance, right? So in the same way, there is a very big bank account that we have. Really, we have an account of all the millions of lifetimes we have taken. So there is a bank account of our good karma and our bad karma. So in this lifetime, we just come with that a small portion of those big sanchit karma that we have. We'll take a small portion, take a birth. It's not our last birth. We'll have to take birth again to burn the rest of the karma. But while we are burning that karma, we are creating new karma. So we are replenishing our account, right? So that sanchit karma is huge, right? So when we chant the holy names, so when we say it is burning the karma, a lot of karma that we have to go through in the future, when we are chanting, it is getting burned. Now we won't come to know, oh, I am chanting for so long, why am I suffering? Because we don't know what was going to come has been burned by your chanting. So we can't see that. But the Shastra says that is the only way. That is what I said. People are going to Mahagam, they're going to pay, they'll clear out their karma, they'll go back and do the same thing, they'll create it again. So it is burning our karma, yes, definitely. Even when you are not chanting purely, it is still burning our karma. But our account is a huge account. That is why we raise our hand, because it is not through my effort, only Krishna and Guru and Krishna will take me up. So that surrender state has to come. Yes, chanting is, that purity part comes here. I am chanting, I am watching my phone and chanting, or I am just chanting. Yes, just by taking the holy name, you are getting the benefit. But then, how much interested I am in going back to Krishna? Is my aim only the problem should be solved? That's what we usually go to temples for. Oh, Krishna, please, I have this problem, please solve this. Right? Or my problem is, this problem will never end. This problem will go, I know there is another problem waiting for me to come. So, I just want to get out of it. Then you are not thinking about clearing small karmas. Then you are thinking about, oh, I want to go back. That's when you start getting serious. Oh, what do I need to do? Oh, I need a guru. Oh, I need to chant properly. I need to follow the regulation. So my effort will depend on what do I want. What is my goal? Is my goal is just to come out of this misery, or the next misery, or get something more? Krishna says 4 types of people come to me. Which state I am in, or I am in that state where no, I want to sincerely do it. So based on that sincerity, then your next question comes, where do I want to go? Then I start finding out, oh, I am chanting, okay, my karma is cleaning, but I want to go back home, or I want this to be my last birth. Then what is required? Then there is a whole step of what you need to do. And when we start sincerely following it, Guru helps us, Krishna helps us. You take 1 step sincerely towards Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards you. So that is how you slowly go back. It all depends on where you want to go. Why are you chanting? Are you chanting just because, oh, it's good, okay, I'll chant? Or no, this is my last birth. So then I have to bring purity. So when you chant, it purifies your heart. Purifies your heart of what? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad, Matsarya. Right? All those things we all have in our heart. Some have little, some have more. Some have more krodha, some have more desires, some have more, lobh, or they want greed, they want more more balance, little more money, little more bigger house, you know. Everybody has those impurities in our heart. So when we chant, slowly they start, when the more sincerely we chant, they start going away and we said, okay, I am happy with what I have. You know, that contentment starts coming in. So that is how it purifies heart. And when we purely chant just because I want Krishna, please pick me, like a child goes to a mother, please pick me. That purity, when we start chanting, then we go back home. It's not that difficult, it's all about how much am I ready to leave. You know, when your hands are closed, even if Krishna is giving something, you're holding on to something, right? You can't take it. You have to leave that to take what he's giving you. And chanting and giving Krishna conscious doesn't mean that we are, you know, wearing two pieces of clothes and roaming on the road. You can be there. We have examples of devotees like Amrish Maharaj, like Janak Maharaj, who were kings and they were liberated souls, who were Mahajans, who were great devotees. Even Prahlad Maharaj, he was a king. Even after Prahlad Maharaj came, he went on to rule the kingdom. So it's all about purifying your heart. It's just, you know, I just want Krishna in my heart. So, does that answer your
Yeah.
questions? Yeah.
Mataji will chant one round.
Yes.
You can explain how to chant. We have less speed actually
Yeah,
today. We have.
Prabhuji is having some doubts.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, please go
Yeah, I
ahead.
have a question, sorry. It might be a stupid one, so I
There
apologize
are no
for my
stupid
yeah,
questions.
I apologize for my ignorance in that matter. But I keep on hearing in different places I visit. I keep on hearing people say going to Krishna. What does going to Krishna mean? Does it mean any afterlife kind of thing, or what does it basically mean?
Yeah, so just as I said, like there are 84 lakh species and we can take birth in any one of them. We have no choice, right? We cannot decide what I am an expert is going to be. So what Krishna says, if you read Bhagavad Gita in the 8th chapter, the kind of consciousness and desire you have at the end of life, that is the body you get in your next life. So there are stories about sages who had perfected, but they get attached to something and they have to take the birth now in that thing, that species. So going back to Krishna means I'm going back. Krishna says, whoever thinks about me while leaving his body will get a body like me. That means Krishna has a spiritual body. His body is not made of the 5 elements. He has a spiritual, the Satchitanand body. So when we sincerely call out to Krishna and we think about him when we are leaving our body, that is when Krishna says, you get a body like me. We will still have hands, we'll have legs, we'll have everything, but it won't be made up of the 5 elements. It will be a Satchitanand body, and in that body we go back to the spiritual world. This is the material world we all can see, we all know. But beyond the material world is the spiritual world where Krishna, his devotees live. So in that world you can go. So that is what it means to go to Krishna, not taking birth in this, in the 5 elements.
Appreciate the answer. Thank you.
So we'll chant the one round of Hare Krishna.
Mataji, could you please explain how to?
Yes,
This is your bag.
So before we start the chanting, there is the main beat that you have, if you see. That is the beat where we call out to Acharya. Our hearts are not pure right now. We want to do pure chanting. So, but we will not be able to do, because while chanting we'll start thinking about, oh, what do I have to do after this? Or did I do this or not? So it won't be, what pure chanting is, it is not chanting, it's hearing. Chanting and hearing goes side by side. So you chant and you also hear those words in your eyes. Not hear your mind speak about what is going to happen or what happened. That is the right way of chanting. But we are not able to do that. Our mind is, it will go. So we pray to the Panchatattva. The Panchatattva is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave us the Maha Mantra, the Yuga Dharma for this Kali Yuga. And he had his four associates, Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya. So we are going to call out to them. We'll just say that name one time and then we'll start the Hare Krishna mantra so that all the mistakes we do while chanting, they will remove it for us. Right? So you all say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
So we take one beat and we'll chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra one time. Then we will do the next beat. And we don't use this finger, we'll use these three finger and the thumb. Okay? We'll make sure that we don't touch the beats with this. Prabhu, do you want us to chant together or we can just chant?
Yeah, we can chant together loudly. It would take 10 minutes.
Okay.
You can lead Mataji.
Okay, we can start chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasadi
Hare Krishna. So that was wonderful, right? So it just take 7 to 8 minutes. So we were chanting together. That's why it took around 10 minutes. But if we chant individually, it would take 6 to 7 minutes. So there are benefits of chanting, like scientific benefits. There are universities in US who have researched on this Maha Mantra, specifically Hare Krishna mantra, and they have published the papers. They have seen the changes in our brain and neurons, how it gets changes and so on and so forth. So we'll have a class on that topic where we'll discuss scientifically how this chanting and how this mantra changes the vibration. So whenever we chant, we see some kind of mode of goodness, right? We feel that. We feel that peace. So before chanting there was no peace, but once we start chanting, our mind gets streamlined. While we were chanting, we were getting the thoughts, right? But the amount of thoughts were less compared to the general task what we do. So that's the power of chanting. So thank you very much, Mataji, for a wonderful class. I like the most inspiring part was Mataji was referring the shlokas. So that was wonderful. So in today's world, we need a proof. Without proof, we won't believe. So Mataji was giving the proof like one after another. She was quoting from different scriptures. So anyone is interested and who is looking for the shlokas and the scriptures, please contact me or Acharya Prabhu. We'll share the presentation. So thank you very much, Mataji. So is there anyone who is joining for the first time? Okay. What's your name, Prabhuji?
Ranjit.
Ranjit Prabhuji. Mataji? Okay. Are you from India?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Nice. What's your name, Mataji? Vandana Mataji. Sangeeta Mataji. Priya Mataji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji? Govind Deshpande. Wow. Prabhuji? Mataji? Neha Mataji. Okay. So thank you very much for joining. So we hold this program every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and sometimes we have a special guest all around the world. So please join. We recite the Bhagavad Gita. We do kirtan before starting the program, and then we discuss about the Bhagavad Gita. And if you have any questions or anything, please contact or you can join the session. So if you are new, you can join our WhatsApp group. You can contact Acharya Prabhu or me to get in the group. So there are no outside messages, just announcements like we'll be discussing this topic this day, and we like announcement. That's it.
So if you're interested, please join. So we'll share the updates all over there. And if you're looking for Bhagavad Gita or any scripture, please contact Acharya Prabhu. He will provide further things. So we'll have a Aarti, 10 minutes Aarti, and then we'll have a Mahaprasad. Hare Krishna. So those who are joining first time, so thank you very much. So we can chant Hare Krishna mantra for them to welcome. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.